Streaming from Oklahoma's own digital studio, this is OSU Football Update, brought to you by Bronze.
Welcome in. It's time for another OSU Football Update, live from the digital studio here. Griffin Media, brought to you by our friends at Brahms. And it's been an absolutely insane last week in Stillwater with Oklahoma State football, coming off of the loss against Baylor on Saturday. More movement within the coaching staff, and this was a decision that evidently came from the higher-ups, not necessarily from anyone on the coaching staff itself, that it was time to move on from Todd Grantham, the defensive coordinator, just several days after Mike Gundy was let go as head coach. So yesterday, while meeting with the media, Doug Meacham, the interim head coach, presented Clint Bowen an opportunity to speak with the media for everyone to get a chance to know him. We'll hear from Clint coming up in just 1 second, but just back to the decision to move on from Todd Grantham. This Oklahoma State defense so far on the season, 128th nationally, 473 yards per game, scoring defense-wise, giving up over 35 per game, 124th in the country, and their rush defense have not been able to get off the field at all. 126th in the country, giving up 213 yards per game. Cowboys surrendered more than 600 yards of offense twice already on this season. One of those was against Baylor this past week. So something had to change with Oklahoma State football to take a positive step forward heading into let's just be honest, a tumultuous time in Stillwater while they're going through the process of looking for a new head football coach. Doug Meacham is doing everything that he can at this point in time, but he also needed someone that he felt like that he could connect with, and that's where Clint Bowen comes in. Those two have spent some time with each other. You'll hear from Clint Bowen as well on his defensive philosophy that he has, but this is a Kansas native and a former Jayhawk safety. Led the team in tackles in '93 and helped KU to an Aloha Bowl win in 1992. So, how can Clint Bowen help this defense move forward? Well, let's hear from the man himself who met with the media yesterday in Stillwater.
Well, Clint, start us off just with what this transition is going to be like. Obviously, you've been on the offensive side of the ball to this point, but you're obviously a defensive guy. So, what's it going to be like transitioning into this role?
You know, it's a unique situation. Taking over somewhere where the players are embraced in a system, a scheme, they've had their coaches in line there. It does make it a little bit unique. But in doing this, I got to be me and do the things that I'm comfortable with. And with that, it really kind of just starts, no matter where you're at, there's a lot of ways to say this, but my philosophy as a coach, I think, will help me in this situation more than anything. And with that, and I've told our guys, no matter what a player does wrong, if you're a good coach, it's your fault. So if you're responsible for a defense or an individual position or anything, if a player makes a mistake and you don't embrace it that it's your fault as a coach, I don't know where that really leads. And for me, that carries over to this spot, that when we go out there and we do something, we have to understand that our job is to fix and correct mistakes. Like, it's not the player's fault. It's our fault. If we go out and ask a kid to do something that he hasn't had the experience level or the knowledge to learn, that's our fault. If we ask a player to go out there and do something that he's not physically developed enough to do, doesn't have enough experience, that's our fault. If we go out there and haven't put him in a situation, that's our fault. And I always base my coaching from that platform, that anything that happens on that field is my fault as a coach. So for me to go out there and get mad at a player for doing something wrong, it's just not where I go with things. Like, this is us together, and that philosophy and building that into our defenses has got me through a lot of years in terms of this is us together. We're going to figure it out together. We're going to do it together. So we're going to start with that premise, and we'll work from there. Mike Gundy recruited unbelievable players to this program. He built an unbelievable culture. I've been a lot of places, and coming here, I told Coach Glass and Coach Gundy, the first winter workout I watched, the first spring ball I watched, I went to him, I said, this is unbelievable. The things I've seen our guys do to help each other, to listen to coaches, to be respectful, everything, the most unbelievable culture I've ever seen. And so these kids will handle it fine, and this will be good.
How easy, Clint, is it to take this defense they've been in and my naked eye, simplify it some, make them be able to play faster and freer?
And that's always been a philosophy of mine is that it really doesn't matter what I know or the assistant coaches know. All that matters is what the players know. like, we'll go back today to day one tackling techniques. It's our Monday ritual for 20 years. Our tackling technique. And I'm not saying anything's wrong. You understand there's 8 million ways to ever do anything in the game of football. If you've been in this game long enough, I've given up big plays in every front and coverage known to mankind, right? I've been through there. I've missed tackles teaching it with the Australian roll tackle. I've missed tackles set on my feet. Everything has strengths and weaknesses, but I do have a firm belief in some base fundamentals that have to get executed. And tackling, we can draw any 11 things on the board. If you can't tackle someone, it doesn't work. If you can't cover someone, it doesn't work. So those things can never get lost in the mix, and you can never push your scheme past what your players are ready and developed and trained to do. You know, we always thought defensive football is I always think there's a process that kids have to go through. One, what do I do, coach? Where do I stand? What do I read? What do I do? Two, get enough reps so that the repetitions build muscle memory to where they don't even know how to react different. They see, react. And then third, when you got all that mastered, now you start going, all right, what are those guys on the other side of the ball doing? Oh, the tailback's a yard behind the QB. Oh, this split's a little tighter. That's when you start anticipating plays and being good. So we got to, and my approach is, we got to go back to step one of the process. What do we do? Master the reactions, and then start figuring out what the opponent's doing. And we'll start from there, and we'll be as basic as we need to be.
What can you say about the resiliency of this defense and how it's going to be tested after the news of their head coach and their defensive coordinator in a 7-day span?
We'll find out. You know, I hate to say this because I've been on both sides of it, but in the game of football, the poem "The Indispensable Man" always sticks out with me. You know, you put your hand in that bucket of water, and when you pull it out, the hole that's left, how much you're missed. That's kind of the game of football, whether you're a coach or a player. You know, and in reality, you know, we all want to think that these players love us, and they do. But in the end, it's human nature to go out and take care of your own business. And I believe we have guys who are competitive kids or tough kids. They're going to go out and they're going to play because they love Oklahoma State football. They love being here. It's been a great place for them. I don't really worry about that. Kids show up and play. It's in their nature. It's in what they've done their whole life. So I think they're going to look for us to give them a plan that they feel helps them get better, helps them accomplish their goals. They can see themselves improving. And if they do that, it's been my experience that players will buy into anything.
Your experience at Kansas, I think in 2014, you've been through something similar to this. Will that help you in making a midseason transition, not only you as a coach, but just seeing how the team reacts?
It will. That was the similarities to that situation. All right, it was after the third game of the season. Coach Weiss was let go. I became the interim head coach for the final 9 games of the season. And you learn a lot of things in that role. You know, a lot of times if things aren't handled correctly behind the scenes, you can end up being a big bear with no teeth as an interim because, you know, people kind of know that, hey, I'm dealing with this cat for 8 weeks, 9 weeks, whatever it is, you know, and he's out the door. I'm still going to be here. So what, you know, I mean, there's a lot of that's the reality of this dynamic. But I truly do believe that if you go out and you help players and they see that you're helping them get better, because they all want to be the best they can be. And if you can prove to them that you're capable of doing that, the kids will run through a wall for you because that's what they still want. They want to go out and represent themselves in this university well. So the players will be fine. They always are.
Coach Gundy's culture. There's also a pretty good degree of intelligence on that defensive side. I mean, guys like Parker, David, you know, Brian McCoy at linebacker, even the defensive front, those guys, Iman and those guys. Will that make it easier, too, to do what you're going to try and do here, the intelligence on that side? Yeah,
you know, we're going to, luckily, you know, the scheme that's in place here it's tried and tested. I mean, it came from a pretty good coaching tree of some guys that have put this scheme together. We'll be able to pull enough pieces out of that like when we go to practice today, the kids aren't going to hear a word that they've, you know, everything they hear today is going to be something they've heard and repped before. We may limit some things down. You know, you can make every call on defense as hard as you want to make it or as easy as you want to make it. You know, you can adjust every formation. You can adjust to the back. There's 8,000 things you can do to every call. We will probably limit some of that down and focus more on, instead of trying to, you know, be more specific on what we're trying to do. But yeah, our kids, what they've learned, what they know, they've put their time in and learned a lot. So they're going to be fine that way.
If in 2017 somebody would have told you you're going to be at Oklahoma State as the defensive coordinator with Doug Meacham being the head coach, would you have thought that person was crazy? Or?
Definitely.
So I guess getting to this point, just kind of how surreal has the last, I don't know, week or whatever it's been.
Well, it's really kind of been, me getting here was, in general, was really, I appreciate Coach Gundy. Like, I've known Coach Gundy for I don't even know how long. Had some opportunities. We've talked about coming here before in the past on some different job situations between me and Mike. I think specifically in maybe 2011 or 12. He I think got kind of mad at me for a situation there for not coming, and what's ironic about it is everything he told me at that time was exactly right, and it played out exactly like he said, and he told me at some point in time I gotta I can't remember exactly, basically break away from Kansas. Sometimes you gotta get away from your comfort zone and go do something to expand in this profession. And he was exactly right. I didn't listen, and then every time I saw Oklahoma State going to a bowl game, me and my wife were watching TV, she's like, "Yeah, great choice." So I lived with that for about 10 years, of watching Oklahoma State win 10 games and go to bowl games, and I was sitting home at Christmas. So my coach was right on that. So. Yeah, to be here and then to come back around this time for Coach to give me the opportunity to come back in this time, I was really appreciative, and he looked out for me and helped me out, and so it worked out good. Now I didn't want this to be the scenario. I was hoping I'd come here and we'd work for Coach Gundy until we both gave this thing up, but this business kind of heads that way sometimes.
Doug was asked about this. What kind of feeling? And you had this in high school. You were the head coach for Banks at Lawrence High, but what's this been like? Being in the same organization at the college level with your son? Yeah,
I got out of coaching the COVID year when things just didn't seem right. Players opting out, refusing to play. We go play in the Myrtle Beach Bowl, and we got about 20 defensive kids who were willing to go because it was over Christmas. And I'm sitting there, I'm ignoring my kids, I'm ignoring my family, I'm not even seeing my kids play games, and I can't even get guys to go play in a bowl game. That was, and the mentality just rubbed me wrong at the time. And so at that time, I decided I'm going to go. My oldest son was going to be a senior, and Banks was going to be a freshman. And I was like, I'm going to go do this, And obviously, that's a kind of a career killer in terms of coaching. If you want to be at this level, once you go coach high school football, you get kind of, in that tag of being a high school football coach. That's where Coach Gundy gave me a chance of coming back, but. I'm not sure if Banks is happy about it. He went to Tulsa initially, and I came here, and then the whole thing worked out that he came here. But I know for me, it's something I never dreamed would happen, and being able to just stand out. I catch myself standing out there sometimes, looking over and being like, "Holy cow, that's my son wearing an Oklahoma State uniform, throwing a football around." It's a kind of a surreal thing on a daily basis.
How close did you guys get? I guess Lawrence Lions, right? Mm-hmm. Chesty Lions, maybe. What was it like? How close did you guys, that relationship, grow during those 4 years?
Well, I learned Banks got it better because my first son got it bad. I came home a few nights and my wife was like, "We need to talk." The way you're running the Lawrence High program is not working for our son, and we're going to fix this. So by the time I got to Banks, my wife had educated me on what it means to coach your son and how to treat him. So I think Banks got it a little bit better than my oldest one. I kind of calmed down a little bit for him, but no, him being a QB in your program. 4 years with him. Like I said, I don't know how much he enjoyed having Dad yell at his friends and all that every day and hold his friends accountable. But for me, it was something that I'm thankful that I chose to do. It may not have been greatest for my career, but for me, I would do it in a heartbeat over and over again, every opportunity.
After being at the college level so long, was there stuff that you learned going back down to the high school level about coaching, about relationships, about any of that?
Going back to the high school level honestly saved me because I was kind of in a college football is not for me. You go back to high school, you learn that kids play high school football because that's his best friend. That's his best friend. They care about each other. It was it brings you back to what football is truly about. You want to impact kids' lives. In high school, you still do. High school coaches are the most amazing humans. If anyone had any idea, coaching high school football is 10 times harder than any time being an interim head coach, defensive coordinator, Power 4 school. You want to go to guys who truly have to invest more than you would ever dream you have to invest. High school coaches. You're raising money to buy shoes. You're raising money to buy food. You're trying to get the equipment money raised. You're taking kids home. You're meeting with parents. It is 24 hours a day nonstop in high school football, and it's the greatest gig there is in terms of I mean, to this day, right now, most of my text messages come from my high school kids, and they're still asking for advice on this and that. Like it's a special job to be a high school football coach in terms of what you can do to impact kids. It brought me back down to really the core of my philosophy. I'm here to help those players. And if I gained anything from being high school to going back now, I've brought myself back to an attitude that this is about the players. This isn't about me. This isn't about this is about helping those young men reach their goals and fulfill their dreams. And high school really brought me back to that, because it opens your eyes that a lot of kids just play this game because it's a fun game to play. And they don't care about all this stuff. They just want to be with their buddies, have fun, run through the damn tunnel, see the cheerleaders and their fans and their families, and it's awesome. So it really rejuvenated me and brought me back to where what this game always meant.
A couple more. How important is Cam Smith to what y'all want to do in the secondary?
Well, in this league in general, it has become such a motion, adjust, shift, movement, multiple. It's become so multiple that the DBs, and specifically the safeties, they really have to be alert on every play. I mean, there's a lot and it affects the backers and their run fits, but safety-wise, the degree of routes that we're seeing and the complexity of routes and the shifts and the motions, it's no more just make a call, line up, I got that guy. You're always thinking one step ahead. So to have veteran guys and guys who have played a little bit and guys who have put it in there is really critical at that position. If you're trying to get a few things done with them. So having guys who have played ball a lot is big.
I want to throw you back in your previous role, because you, I'm sure, dumped the Arizona advance on Doug. This is not the 3-3-5 you see from Haycock at Iowa State. This is a different breed of cat, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Back when Jim Knowles was here, I was really interested in what Jim was doing here, because obviously he was having a lot of success. And everyone knows he was doing some really, really creative and good things, and he's continued to do that. I would put what Arizona does is more in that Jim Knowles family than it is the John Haycock Iowa State family. From the front, the coverage, and the things they're doing over there, they're a lot more similar to what Jim does in terms of his 3-3, his 5 DB stack look, and his front that part's more Jim Knowles or what Arizona's doing.
What's
last one?
What stands out about Arizona's offense, and it? I'm just curious. Over the weekend, at what point did you sort of transition from you were scouting one side of the ball to the other? I'm sure that was kind of a weird weekend for you.
Yeah, honestly, I looked at Arizona for the first time last night at about 12:30 a.m. was the first time I put that one on. So I watched them for a couple hours last night. Haven't got back to them today. I am admittedly behind on them a little bit. I spent about 2 hours in the middle of the night last night looking at it for the first time. The QB impresses me. He's got some danger to him. Can throw the ball on the run, can move, does both, scrambles to throw, scrambles to run. They do a lot of things with their tight end, and they have some capable guys on the outside. So they're doing a nice job on offense. They got some creativity to them. They're just like we kind of always said, you're going to get a motion and a run. You're going to get a lot of different looks. So we'll zero in. A big part of what we've got to do defensively, I think, is make sure that we're handling shifts and motions well, and that's a big emphasis for us today.
For context, when do you in a normal weekend, like going forward, when would you normally be able to jump in that tape, and how much would you actually watch before you go to bed Sunday night?
Yeah, I can't. I'm not one of the people. As soon as the Saturday's game's over, I have to watch it. So I usually, you just do it. You can't enjoy your evening until you've kind of went and seen the game. I can't anyway. I know some people can. So as soon as the game's over, I like to knock out the Saturday game, then go enjoy my Saturday night a little bit, and then wake up Sunday morning as early as I can get out of bed based on how Saturday night went, and go to work on the next one,
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Satisfy your sweet tooth with a Brahms old-fashioned banana split. Crafted with a delicious banana, split down the middle and filled with not 1, but 3 scoops of Brahms premium ice cream flavors. To complete this masterpiece, all your favorite toppings are poured on each scoop to bring it all together in a perfect harmony of flavor. Treat yourself to an old-fashioned banana split at Brahms, where every spoonful leaves you wanting more.
How does the interim coach, Doug Meacham, feel that Clint Bowen will be able to slide in and help take over this defensive coordinator spot, considering the fact that he's more of an offensive guy? Well, let's hear from Doug himself, who also met with the media yesterday in Stillwater before the Cowboys get set to face Arizona this Saturday.
What was your your first post game and follow up, and what's the weekend and today kind of been like for you in settling into this role?
Well, you know, like I said, I've never been a head coach of an elementary school. You know what I'm saying? So this is a lot of new stuff I never thought about. I mean, everybody thinks being a head coach is easy, and then you do it and realize there's a lot more to it than you thought, as anything would be probably. But I don't know. Bottom line is, I just feel like I'm just so proud of the kids' willingness to participate and be a part, and the vibe that they're providing, and it makes it easy for all us coaches to go out and do our job and have fun and stuff like that, and continue to just devote all our time and effort into what we can do to help them win a game, you know, because it's all about them. So that part's been fun, and just, you know, the media stuff and things like that, you know, it's definitely different for me, because typically a lot of places I've been, the coordinators don't really do much of this type stuff. It's usually just falls on the head coach. So this is obviously new, but not other than that, it's really not that much different. Other than, you know, game day's a little different on the sidelines. You know, I got special teams guys yelling at me if we want timeout or not, and I'm like trying to find the next play. It's kind of different. So, but no, it's been good, man. I've just again, just the common denominator for me on all of it's just been just the players and enjoying them and having fun, and you know, we could have had 10 guys hop in a red shirt, you know, and I don't feel like that's going to occur as of now, and I think it's a positive sign that these guys are kind of galvanized a little bit, and it's encouraging. So.
Can you talk, because you were coordinators together at KU with Clint?
Yeah.
I've known him a long time too. Can you talk about what Clint Bowen's going to bring in that role?
Man, he's just he's such a great guy, and I think he's a player's coach. I think the players feel like he cares, and I think the players feel like he's in it to get the best out of them, and he's just such a good person and highly intelligent guy. And I think he was the coordinator at Kansas for 12 years, you know, so he's got a lot of experience. I think his MO is going to be carry over what we've done, and you know, plug in the things that we feel like fit based on the opponent, and just mesh with the staff from here moving forward. But I mean, I don't know. For me, I'm so comfortable with him because I know him, and he's a back end guy, a coverage secondary safety, corners guy, and that makes me feel good too. So he just kind of fit the profile for what we were kind of looking for immediately, and I think that he'll have that room. They'll all be galvanized here pretty soon. I mean, I feel like he's going to do a good job.
On the back end in particular, that's one area where you guys struggled on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can't tell you the actual statistics of it, but I think a lot of people struggle with things on the back end because there's so much schematics now back there, because people try to disguise everything. I mean, what you see pre is not what happens 75% of the time. So I think at times those guys get tangled up a little bit with the schemes and stuff. So not to say that, you know, we weren't doing a good job in that area before, but I just feel good about him handling it, because for me, like when he was on my side of the ball, all right, identifying coverages, hey, is that cover two? No, it's actually bracket, you know, and for an offensive guy, you think it's one thing, but it's really not, and he could explain it. How do you attack it? The switch route here, you know, whatever. He's a great source of information on coverages and stuff like that, so just really got to know him, and just tons of knowledge and just a good guy, and he'll get all his guys on the same page and get the Pistons firing in the right direction.
Because he was, sorry, Eric, because he was on your side of the ball, though, up until this
I taught
week.
him how to draw plays the other way, because defense, they draw it upside down to me. So now he's struggling to draw it the other way, where the defense is facing the other way. So,
How much involvement has he had with the defense? Is it kind of a
not much. I mean, he was running the back end of the scout team stuff, and he was doing a lot of the. He was the advanced scout for the opponent. So by the time we get to Sunday, he's already a week ahead, and he could give us the two deep, who's the game wrecker, here's their base coverage, here's their base blitz, here's their whatever. He was that guy, and he transferred all his knowledge to our language, what we ID coverages and fronts to, real easy. And man, he's a valuable resource for us, and we're going to miss him on our side, but he's got more important things to do now.
I think the best thing for Oklahoma State football at this point in time would have to be just a little bit of normalcy. Things settle down a bit. All the high emotions from the Mike Gundy situation now to Todd Grantham. Maybe this is a moment where everything just settles in and they can focus on football in front of them for the rest of the season. Game, by the way, coming up on TNT and broadcast on HBO Max with J.B. Long as the play-by-play voice there for that Oklahoma State and Arizona game. John Holcomb's going to catch up with him in our preview podcast coming up later in the week. Thanks to our sponsor, Brahms, for helping all of this happen here live from the digital studios. And we will see you next time for another OSU football update live from the digital desk.
Thank you for watching this Oklahoma's own digital studio sports presentation. Stay with News on 6, online and on television anytime for the latest news, weather, and sports.